let's start.
Yep.
I will make a brief introduction in Bulgarian, and then I will invite you to join in with your part to talk a little bit about sustainable building with sustainable materials.
Yeah.
And then if there are any questions, we can take them.
Okay.
Добре, ами здравейте и добре дошли на този вебинар, на това събитие, което е организирано от Фондация Ботаника Лайф, и то предхожда едно друго събитие, което се нарича Реставрация и строителство с естествени материали, и то ще се проведе малко по-късно в село Надарево, и ние сме домакини и ще бъдем заедно с Питър Могенсен, който имаме честа днес да бъде наш гост на този вебинар. Искам да пусна една малка презентация, която ще покаже какво ще правим. Само да се опитам да намеря как да споделя файла. Надявам се, че сега се вижда презентацията. Започнах с това, че ние сме домакини на събитието, което ще се проведе през септември месец, и ще го направим с Питър. С Питър се познаваме от доста време, вече няколко години, но за втора поредна година така работим заедно и в базата на Фондация Ботаника Лайф в село Надарево. И за пример, за добро партньорство с него, мога да дам събитието, което направихме миналата есен за изграждане на пещ за хляб. Пещ отново с естествени материали, изцяло от глина. И се получи много добре. Тази пещ я виждате тук на снимката. И в съвсем така левия ъгъл една малка част от снимката показва изградата, която ще реставрираме на предстоящото събитие. То ще се случи в периода 21-27 септември тази година и ще е в село Надарево, където е базата на Фондация Ботаника Лайф. Като казвам базата, разбирайте база за настаняване, имаме сграда, която приемаме нашите гости, и основната ни дейност е земеделие. Ние се занимаваме с устойчиво земеделие, биоземеделие, така че имаме и големи градини, където отглеждаме зеленчуци, но интересите са ни по-широки в сферата на устойчивото развитие, и затова организираме тази работилница за строителство и реставрация с естествени материали. Искам съвсем мъничко да покажа сградата, която ще бъде реставрирана. Още няколко слайда. Тя е наследствена къща, моя лична. Било е плевня и дядо и баба са отглеждали там животни. Не е нито много голяма, нито много малка. Около 35 квадратни метра е и е в доста добро състояние от гледна точка на конструкцията. Но ще направим малка рехабилитация, ще пренаредим старите керамиди. В селото са известни като турски керамиди тези, някъде им казват цигански. Ще се опитаме да сложим нови прозорци в дървени рамки, врата и разбира се да се погрижим за мазилката, която автентично е с бяла пръст, с глина и слама, така че ще се опитаме да я възстановим по същия начин. Ето прозорчето, което е съвсем мъничко. Може би ще сложим още едно прозорче в друга част на постройката. Отвътре има много стари, но добре запазени гради, дъбови и салкомови. Така че те със сигурност ще останат. Ако има нещо за подмяна, ще бъде подменено. И, както казах, ще се погрижим за мазилката. Това е пример за това какво правим с такъв тип мазилки. До тази стара плевня има друга една сграда, която вече беше обновена. Мазилката й беше обновена по този начин, използвайки, пак казвам, глина и слама. Това е един много интересен и дълъг процес. Дълъг, защото не става отведнъж и дваш, а се прави няколко поредни слоя, няколко поредни пласта се нанасят, но пък се получава изключително добре. Ако има някакви въпроси, мога да отговоря. Така че ние ще очакваме абсолютно всички, които искат да се присъединят на тази работилница. Тук съм посочил имейла и телефона, на който може да се свържете. Разбира се, в Facebook и на страницата на Фондация Ботаника Лайф в интернет, botanicalife.org, има доста подробна информация за цялото събитие. На разположение сме за някакви въпроси, също така, ако имате. Така че на този момент спирам тази презентация, спирам споделянето на тази презентация и се връщам отново към Питър. So, Peter, I presented very briefly the workshop itself, the dates, when it will happen. I talked a little bit about our joint experience, what we did together, the bread oven, and showed the building to really exemplify what people can expect in the autumn. So, I would like to invite you now to say a few words about building with sustainable materials, and also maybe tell us your experience, how you came to be involved in such activities.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Will there be a translation?
If there is needed, I'm ready to translate. At the moment we have Christina and Nicolina. Здравейте, Николина. Можете ли да си включите микрофона?
Да, здравейте. Ами аз нямам нужда от превод.
Нямате нужда от превод. Добре. So at the moment, Peter, there is no need for translation, so you can freely use English.
I will try to speak in a slow manner so that it's possible to understand most of it, at least. Hello and welcome. This is from Denmark, and right now I'm sitting in the garden of the school where I'm teaching on and off. The last 2, 3, 4 years it has been more freelance than full-time, but still I'm closely connected to this school. And about myself, I think I can call myself a quite practical man because I have experience from farming, 15 years of organic farming. I have experience from gardening throughout all my adult years, I would say. I have experience from building courses and workshops and classes here at the school. And then at the same time, I'm used to be, you could say, leading groups for learning activities. And as Apostol already mentioned, I was in Nadarevo a little bit more than, or less than 1 year ago. And it was a great experience and the nice people that were there. And I hope that this coming workshop will be a little bit of the same, where we have a different task, but where we also can have the joy of working together and learning together. Here at the school, we have been working with sustainable building practices for now 15 years. So I think I will stand up and then I will turn the camera around so you can see the building that we made in 2007. So behind me now is a quite big house, 100 square meters it is, and we use it as for multiple purposes. We use it for small concerts, we use it for music classes, we use it for yoga classes, and well, all sorts of purposes. It is built mainly from wood, from straw, and from clay. Those three materials are essential for the buildings that we have made here at our school, because they are so easy accessible and quite cheap. Of course, there are also glass because we have windows, and there's also electric installations inside, and we also have a floor heating system, which is quite, you could say, ordinary, as in other houses, but still the walls and the roof are mainly built from these three materials I mentioned: wood, straw, and clay. These materials are, you could say, proven to be very, you could say, healthy. So if you live in a house made out of straw, clay, and wood, then there will be no issues with the health, I would say. Opposite to many modern building materials of today, they have been used by humankind for, well, 10,000 years probably, or even more. So we know as human beings we are capable or able to live in them, and they are healthy for us. Here at the school we have many other buildings, and I don't think I will go around and show you, but the main building materials have been wood and straw and clay. Straw for insulation, and then clay for plastering, both inside and outside, and then wood, mainly wood for the construction, or for the frames of the building. In addition to the health, the good health about living in or using buildings like that, I can also say that these materials are not high-tech materials, meaning you don't need a high-tech education to work with them. So with a little bit of guidance, it's quite easy for everybody, also those who don't have any experience at all, to get a grip of how it is to work with them, and actually to do something with them, so it can turn out to be a part of a building. So that's another benefit, that we don't have to hire highly skilled people to come and build, but we can actually do it ourselves. It just needs one or two persons who have, you could say, tried it before, and some experiences in how to make the construction, and also to make it strong enough, and so on. Yeah. What else can I say? I mean, you're very free to ask questions, so just pop in if you have anything to ask about. But it will be, you could say, when we meet, hopefully when we meet in Nadarevo in September, then it will be much easier to show and to tell, and to, of course, practice what is it all about.
Peter, I could just add the benefits of such materials to the environment, because they are renewable. All those materials. Yeah. Especially wood. We can use it in a way that ensures the sustainability of the sources. The forest and so on. Yeah. So this is just a small addition, but I think it's very important. And connected to that also, I can say that it's no waste materials, meaning that if you leave the building to take care of itself, in the end it will be compost, more or less. Yeah. So we will not pollute the environment if we just leave the materials there. So that's another benefit from using these materials. There is a question that has come from Facebook, and
Yeah.
I will read it for you. You can also see it in the chat. But the question is, could you please say something about the insulation properties and compare the different materials, how they perform?
I don't have the figures in my head. I know straw is very good, and you can use other materials also. We have something in Denmark which we call wood wool. We call it. The direct translation from Danish is wooden wool. So it's actually wood that when you touch it, it has a kind of woolly consistence, and you can buy that in similar shapes as you buy you could say more conventional insulation like rock wool or glass wool and stuff like that. That's also used in sustainable buildings in Denmark. I have actually been working with it myself also. And when you get it or buy it in these square, more or less square pieces, it's very easy to work with, but also more expensive than if you just use straw, for instance. And the properties are probably more or less the same. Yeah. I don't have the exact figures for it, but it's something that you can probably look up in some tables where you can see if you have compressed straw that is 30 centimeters thick, what are the values for the insulation compared to if you use wood or if you use paper. You can also use paper, but that's also wood, more or less. Yeah.
There is another question from Nicolina.
Yeah.
Where do you source the clay, and can you reuse clay from other buildings?
Yeah. Sourcing is fairly easy in Denmark. So in many places you can source it at your land. Some areas of Denmark are more sandy, then you have to source it from somewhere else. But in the soil of the Danish underground, there's clay everywhere. And I have been to Nadarevo, and I have touched the soil where Botanica, Life are producing vegetables and so on, and that's perfect quality clay there. So we can go to your field in Nadarevo, or maybe we can even dig it at the ground near the building. So it's there everywhere. Of course, it comes in different qualities, but then you just test how does it work, and you find out, okay, here we need to add less or more sand, so it get the right consistency to use it on the walls.
Well, I can add just in terms of our experience in Nadarevo. We can use the clay right from the garden, which is a good shape, in a good type of clay. But traditionally people have gone a little bit further up from the village, from a slopey area, where they obtain a different type of clay. It's called white clay. It resembles the kind of humor or the kind of clay that you use for your hair. This type of medical clay. Certainly resembles the color. I don't know the qualities. I haven't studied. But people prefer to use white clay. I don't know the reasons, but they have told me that it's a lot oilier, a lot easy to work with. It doesn't stick so much to your fingers.
Yeah.
So if you are local, you could explore a little bit and find what is the right place to source.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
there was the question about reusing it.
Reusing it, yes.
And yes, you can reuse the clay plaster from a wall, and sometimes it's maybe not so practical, because if you add a little bit of organic material to the clay in order to let it so it sticks a little bit better, if you can add very fine chipped straw or other materials, sawdust or something like that, then it's maybe not so easy to reuse. But in general, you can reuse it. Maybe not just 1-to-1, but you can, if you have something that has been used as a plaster before, you can take away maybe 1/3 or 1/4 of it and then mix it with new clay mix. And
you can certainly reuse the clay bricks. In Bulgaria, we make those bricks made of clay and straw.
Yeah.
So they are sun-dried. And if the shape has been untouched and if they have not been destroyed by the weather conditions, you can just use those bricks for a new building. Certainly you can also melt them with water and you get a totally new substance. And we've done it. But you're quite right that the texture becomes different and you should be careful what you're using them for again.
Yeah.
Can you see the other question?
Now I can see them. And the difference in the type of plant you use for straw and the method for drying. Okay, in Denmark we mainly use straw from wheat and from barley. That's the most common thing to use. In the old days, we also used straw from rye to thatch our roofs, but not for insulation, but for roof thatching. So the straw from the farms in Denmark have been used for multiple purposes over the history, you could say. And then we practically don't make clay bricks in Denmark. I mean, it's not very common. I have seen them, and I can't remember who has made them. I have not made them myself. I never tried that. But it is possible to get them, but it's not very common to use them. Yeah, and then the question, any foundation of the building, is that the building that I showed? Is that the question?
Perhaps what is the building made of as a foundation? Is it stone or is it wood again? Or?
No. Here we have the building I showed, the 15-year-old building. We made a big hole in the ground, about 1 meter deep, and we filled that hole with shells from mussels. And mussel shells are very good for insulation. So the cold temperatures from the soil is then, you could say, blocked by that insulation layer of mussel shells. The average temperature of the ground in Denmark is 7.5 degrees. So it means there's always an impact from the bottom of a building in Denmark with a low temperature. So it needs insulation also in the floor. And then on top of these mussel shells, we placed a 7-8 centimeter thick layer of cement. So it actually, the whole building is on that, you could say, plate of cement. And in that layer of cement, there's also the floor heating system. So it's actually in the same layer. So the pipes that leads the heated water runs in that cement plate also. So there's no actually, you could say, wall foundation, because it's all on that plate of cement. Yeah. I think we have all the questions now. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so.
Other materials for insulation could also be hemp. It's not really common in Denmark. I know it's much more used in Poland, among other places. I have been also assisting in building a sustainable house in Nepal, Asia. And there we used dry leaves that we collected in the forest. So leaves that has fallen off the trees, we collected them and we used dry leaves as insulation material. Works fine also. It's a matter of dryness, of course. You cannot take moist leaves and put them, you could say, between two layers of clay, that will not work. And also, if you have a wooden frame, then moist materials in there will make the wood rot faster. So you have to make sure that it's dry.
Yeah, perhaps one more thing about foundations. Certainly the buildings in Nadarevo, both the one that we will be working on and other old buildings, the foundations are made of stone. So you quite clearly see that big buildings, especially those which have cellars, the cellars are made of stone, big chunks of stone. Yeah. And on top of the stones, you can use either normal bricks or you can do clay bricks.
Yeah.
And the little building that we will be restoring certainly has a very small foundation, maybe 35 to 40 centimeters, again made of chunks of stone. Yeah. And on top of those stones, my grandparents have used clay bricks. And it has worked fine. And I think the reason why you use the stones is because they last better, and they are a better material to be used in how shall I say, as a protection against the weather. So rain and snow. If you put clay bricks down there on the bottom,
that will not work.
But the stone will not. Yeah. So you put as much stone as you just need to protect from rain and snow, and from then on you can use any material.
Yeah,
that's my observation.
That was also the way it was done in all the old buildings in Denmark. So you had quite big stones, and you could easily source them because there are stones in any field in Denmark. And then you had maybe just one big stone, like 20-30 centimeters. On top of that, in the old buildings, you will place a wooden frame. So you had a wooden frame on top of these foundation stones, and within the squares in that wood frame, you will then have maybe sun-dried clay stone or just a layer of clay put on a kind of a frame made out of small pieces of wood or even straw. That's a known technique here, also here in Denmark. And then you put plaster on the outside of the wall mainly, and on top of that plaster you will put a lime chalk that will protect from most of the rain that comes. But that lime chalk needs to be added a layer every year, otherwise it will make the wall deteriorate quite fast then. Yeah.
I see two more questions which probably refer to walls and how you decorate them or how you paint them. This is from Olga, and Olga is present in the discussion, so if there's anything unclear in the question, you can ask her.
Yeah. If I again turn around and show the building here behind me, you can see it's white, and on top of the straw there is a clay plaster, maybe 3, 4, 5 centimeters thick, and then it's painted with this lime chalk. So it's not paint; it's made out of lime, and I don't know if it's the correct term that I use there, but it's used in many white buildings. I have been using it myself on my parents' farm when I was a boy and a youngster. So every year we had to do give it a paint again, because then it would last for the coming autumn and winter. And decoration, well, we haven't really done it here, so it's just ordinary white all over. But I mean, you can choose whatever you want if you want to have a nice decoration on it also.
Yeah. Apology if I may kind of come in.
Sure.
I'm asking most of the questions. I'm currently in the process of building a kind of self-sustainable complex of domes, and really kind of, each one will have a different natural element in it. But so that's why I'm kind of throwing all these questions on.
You're welcome.
I see the roof is a timber roof. Are you putting any natural oil to protect it from, if I'm seeing this correctly?
Yeah.
So it just stays as it is. There is no kind of, it's kind of dry.
I don't think we ever oiled those pieces of wood. They are probably either a Douglas pine or what is that called? Cypress.
Because I've been recommended some brand. I think it was. I've been recommended some brand. I'm trying to find the name of this brand of a natural oil. I think it was Scandinavian. I'm definitely sure it's Scandinavian, maybe Norwegian. Yeah. That is kind of natural oil recommended by
linseed oil.
Linseed oil. That's it.
Yeah. I have been using that, and that's a perfect thing to use. And again, you have to apply it at least every second year in Danish conditions. Yeah. Maybe less in Bulgarian conditions, because you probably have less wind and less rain than we have here. So our wood in buildings in Denmark are quite exposed to rain and wind. And then together with sun in the summer, then we need to apply linseed oil or other wood protection oils every second year at least.
And you don't use any natural paint inside, just naturally made paint? Like,
we have tried it as a test, but I have not been working with it. So I have just seen that there was a small workshop here some years back. I did not attend, so I cannot really tell so much about it. But it is possible to find, of course, yes.
This lime you're using, that is the white lime, is it a commonly sourced material, or it's something that you made yourself?
Това според мен е вар. Той говори за вар.
И аз така мисля, че е вар, да. We just clarifying the Bulgarian...
Нали, варовик или вар. По-скоро е вар, това, което се използва в България.
А в България как се... Нали, на борсите свободно се продава вар?
Да, има я вар, продава се в чували, но трябва да нали, количество да се прецени какво е.
Да. This material, the white material, was commonly used in the past. Pretty much every building was decorating, so it is commonly. I suspected this is like what you call chalk. Yeah. Let me see. What's the again? I'm really big. Sorry. Apostol, if you tell me if I'm too much of a question person.
Well, of course, if anyone else has questions, please prepare your questions and we'll be able to ask them, no problem.
Yeah. What kind of window system you're using in terms of the kind of, I'm really concerned about the insulation properties and just being very sufficient. Do you?
In the windows behind me, I'm quite sure they layer three layer glass.
Triple glazing.
So they are quite good concerning insulation properties, and also when it's 3 layer, it also has good properties in terms of how sound is moving through the windows also. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing to consider if you want to have a very quiet indoor environment. Then maybe a 3-layer glazing is something you should consider. Yeah.
And your kind of frames are all timber.
Yeah.
They also need treatment.
I'll try to go a little closer, and then I can maybe show it better than here from the distance. Just 1 second.
Добре му изглежда къщата.
Тя е много голяма, той е направо като метала.
Is that the Tibetan flags in the prayer flags in the background?
Yeah, it is.
Another Tibetan follower. I'm sorry to everyone.
It's actually just one, you could say, a log of wood we have used, and then we have cut off a thin shell, and that creates this straight surface where we can press the window against, and then afterwards we put this shell of the log, so it holds the glass. That's how it's done.
It is a safe, self-made thing. It's not a kind of...
Yeah,
Wow.
it is self-made. Yeah.
Wow, impressive. That looks pretty solid and quite beautiful, actually.
It is solid.
Yeah. We only see this in the kind of very old buildings that are like made to last in Bulgaria.
I will go inside and show you a little bit about the interior. So it has windows on two sides, facing behind me south more or less, and then west over there. So it has a lot of light inside the room here.
It's quite an unusual decision of the kind of progressively growing window.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So it means it has a roof where the water is running off in two spots, only two places. Yeah. And then here we have the walls behind me, because behind those white walls there are two small rooms, and also over here behind this wall, two small rooms. It was meant for other purposes, because we built this house because we wanted to have space for people to exercise their music instruments by themselves. But I mean, now we are just using those small rooms for storage, because we don't have so many music students here anymore.
Did you say that you have underfloor heating?
Yeah.
Is that the prime heating of the method of heating the building?
It's the only heating. Yeah. Yeah.
How?
And you could say we have the height to the ceiling here is average like 4 meters, but still it's very nice, warm in winter, and it's just simply because the insulation is perfect here.
Yeah, that's the key. But is it a water-based heating system?
Yeah, it's water-based. Yeah.
One question I've got on this, because I'm working on mine. Aren't you concerned with the natural materials? If anything goes, because the pipes go all around, if anything goes, there is any incident with the
No.
pipes that will cause a damage that is very difficult to repair after that.
You could say the pipes that are used for the floor heating, I'm quite sure they are plastic pipes, and I mean they last 100 years. So the rest of the building is not lasting as long as those plastic pipes. So it will not. I don't think there will be any incidents there.
Everything will collapse but the pipes.
Yeah, yeah. So no, we are not concerned about that. We have had an incident this summer because actually there was a fire started, and a small corner of the building caught fire. And so we had to repair something there, but luckily it was only in one small corner, and it was seen so early that the fire brigade came and could put out the fire. And then you think it's a house where a lot of the materials is straw, and you would probably think it just goes up into flames in 1 second, but it doesn't. Soon as you have clay on both sides, it almost cannot burn. I mean, it takes so long time for that straw to actually catch fire and really start burning. So I think it probably has been burning slowly for 2-3 hours before it was seen, and then the fire brigade came, and it was still time enough to take out the flames.
I watched a few times, a video about building bricks from straw. Do you use any methods to check whether the straw is dry enough to be good for the? I mean, how do you test it?
You can buy a small tool, and you can just press it into the bale of the straw, and then you can read right away what is the humidity.
Yeah, okay.
So that's fairly easy to know if it's dry enough.
Okay.
Have we got any questions from the other participants, perhaps? And then, Peter, I remember that next to this building, there is another wonderful building, which is with solar panels and a water filtering system. Is there any chance we can have a glimpse of that?
Sure.
And,
50 more questions from me on that. You're touching two other areas that I'm really kind of on it now.
It's a paradise place where Peter is, and maybe he shouldn't show all the buildings, because if he shows all the buildings, we will have thousands of questions.
Then there will not be enough light in the end, then, because sun will disappear. Now, the building behind here is also fairly big, and you could say it's a house, quite small house, inside a big greenhouse. So the rounded shape is actually a plastic membrane, and that's where we collect the water on half of the building. So the half that is away from me, that's the water collecting part of it. Then you can see the solar panels in front that produces electricity, of course. And the front part here is actually a greenhouse where we are growing plants. So I will show you. So
it's a house and a greenhouse.
Collecting water from the rain.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a giant rain harvesting system.
It's a giant umbrella. Yeah.
That is very interesting.
So here we have, in front of the house on the south side, we have a greenhouse where we grow plants, because the plants here, they actually use the wastewater from the house. So we have, you could say, our own water collecting system, and we have our own wastewater treatment, and it's treated in the way that we use the water from the sink, from the bathroom, to grow plants here, tomatoes, whatever we can grow in a greenhouse in Denmark. So you could say that we don't consider it as wastewater, but we consider it as nutritional water where plants can grow and we can have food from it.
Can I ask my 50 questions? Because this is exactly what I'm building now.
Yeah, okay.
Grey water system. What kind of filtering system you use?
It's too technical for me, so I don't know. Yeah, there are systems that can be used, and what I have been drinking water directly from the tap. So it's collected water, rainwater, and through the filters, and it's very nice and tastes good. But you're also utilizing the water that comes out of the sink and the shower. Yeah, because that goes into a separate tank. Then underneath the floor where I'm standing here right now, you could say there's a kind of an open tank, so to speak, or open container.
Yeah.
So that it's filled up mainly again with mussel shells, because they can hold a lot of water. And then on top of the mussel shells, there are 25 centimeters of soil, and then you plant your plants, and then they will send their roots first through the soil and then into the water in the mussel shells. So during the summer, the plants will use that water that has been produced over the winter by people who are using the house and the toilets and so on.
So effectively, the mussel shells are like water holders. So the water retains in the humus part of the soil. I've never heard of it. Do we use this method in Bulgaria, like mussel shells? Never heard of it. That's quite, especially I've got a bit of an erosion problem. That might be quite a neat solution to kind of.
I don't know if there are other solutions than mussel shells.
Well,
I'll try to look it up. So if we meet later, we can talk about it.
Yeah, somebody sent me files about specific plants you can plant that actually retains and doesn't allow to. So I was looking at that methods.
Mm-hmm.
Peter, we are nearing the time of our end. Nearing the finishing time. Would you like to sum up perhaps what you have told us, and also maybe draw our attention to what is to come in Nadarevo. Of course, I told people about the building, but maybe if you can just open the door a little bit about how you see us going about this restoration process. Yeah. Just a little bit. Of course, we will have a program which will be drawn near the time of the event, but just so that people are on the same page of what is going to happen.
Well, I hope that we can gather a group of maybe 8-10 people, maybe even a bit more, I don't know. But you could say my approach to be the work camp or the workshop leader is that we are doing this together. And of course, I have experiences that maybe can be useful for the group, but I also assume that there will be participants who already know a lot and have practical experience, and then we can learn from each other. So it will be very much like sharing knowledge and sharing competences and learning from each other. I hope that we can establish how can I put it, learning-friendly environment, so that we with nice atmosphere in the group will be able to do the job that we are considering we can do in those days, and then in the end we can celebrate that, okay, now we finished this one, and the old pig's home there, pig's house, will be renovated with a more safe roof, and maybe we can also there's something about the floor also that we should have a look at, and maybe do something about that too. Yes. But I'm very much into this, that we are doing this together, and I'm not the one sitting in the director's chair and pointing out, you're doing this and you're doing that. We will try to we'll do it in a mutual understandable way. So that's my approach to it.
Yes, and I can confirm that this approach has worked really well last time when we were building the oven. And as we discussed with you earlier today, we should test the oven again. We should try and make a meal together with everyone.
Make bread or make pizza or whatever we can try.
And see how the oven has been holding for almost 1 year together without
I'm very curious about that.
Well, I would like to thank everyone. Again, maybe last chance if there are final questions about the forthcoming practical workshop in Nadarevo.
I want to, because unfortunately I'm living abroad and I will be in Bulgaria from the 5th, so I won't be from the 5th of September. I won't be able to attend. Will there be a recording of it and maybe useful links where we can look at things, or no?
We will definitely make a video as we are already used to doing. We are making videos of all our projects, sort of long-term projects. This will be a compressed, a short video, maybe a few minutes, but it will show the process of how it goes. That's as much as we can do at the moment, and of course many photos.
Okay. Yeah, sure, and visits when I'm back at home.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Peter, very much. This has been pleasure for having you from Denmark. And again, it's been pleasure to see Brenderup Folk High School. It's a wonderful place, and I miss it. So I'll make a plan to come and visit one day.
You're most welcome.
See how it goes.
Yeah.
Благодаря на всички участници. Още веднъж, ако имате някакви въпроси, пишете ни в Facebook, по имейл, обадете се на телефона, който е на Фондация Ботаника Лайф. Ние сме на среща.
Да, благодарим за организацията на среща.
Да, благодарим ви много. Извинете за многото въпроси.
Нищо, беше неприятно. Да са такива въпроси, които стимулират
дискусии. Да. Следя ви редовно, просто съм на същата вълна и да.
Аз нямам никакъв въпрос, но ми беше много любопитно.
Благодаря. Anything from you, Peter, as a final note?
No, I think I'm looking forward to see Nadarevo again. So hopefully we will see each other in a month's time, a little bit more than a month's time.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Приятна вечер ви желая.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Довиждане.